This is Robert.
I'm Robert.
I'm not, I know what I would say.
I'm Robert, and I am a recovering addict.
Hey, Robert.
And first things first, thank you God for your love, grace, and mercy. And I would also like to thank Gretna, thank the Georgia Regional Convention for, first of all, putting on this convention because I've had a good time. I've had a good time since I've been here. And for asking me to do this. You know, many times I've did this, any time that I sat here, I still got a little nervous. So I need to say that. And I also need to just go ahead and give my disclaimer right now. So, you know, as I speak, you might hear a few cuss words come from my mouth. But if that happens and you have a problem with that, just keep coming back. You know, and believe me, it's not as bad as it used to be. You know, since I've been here, it's gotten better. It's gotten better. So I just need to put that out there. So I was, they told me that the topic is the gift of desperation. And, you know, it's ironic that I would be asked to speak on that topic. You know, when, you know, desperation is definitely what brought me in. Because I fought it, and I fought it for a long, long time. So let me just say that my clean date is August 4th, 98. So
Congratulations.
So I sit here today with 21 years, 6 months, and 19 days clean. And you know, that's not. I'm not saying that to boast. I'm not saying that to say that some great something I did, because I really did. I really didn't do it. You know, it was really only by the grace of God. You know, but I say that because for somebody that might be struggling with staying clean. You know, and it doesn't make a difference whether you're a newcomer, old timer, or what. If you're struggling, you know, today with staying clean, you know, just hold on to this. If I can do it, you can do it too. So, anyone that knows, have heard my story, I always share that I went to 10. I stopped counting when I got to 10 treatment facilities. After 10 rehabs, I just stopped counting. Now I went to more than 10, but at 10 I just stopped counting. So you can plainly see that I wasn't one that came in here and picked up one white key tag. That's just not my story. You know, I fought this thing all the way. And our literature in the basic text in step 1, it talks about when we was beaten, we became willing. And that's where I was at this time around. See, we're talking about the gift of desperation. See, I was at a point to where I was just sick of my own ass. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's what I'm learning about this program. This is a program that you have to come, at least for me, I have to get to a point to where I can't stand myself, to where I can't live with myself anymore. And when it get to that point, I get some willingness. Willingness to change. So one thing, I thought that I was different. I thought that I wasn't like you all. That there was some way that I can use dope and not get the consequences, not suffer the consequences. I refuse to believe that the consequences that came with it. It came hand in hand. But I finally reached that point. I finally got to a point where I said, one, for me, this is just for me, one, I don't get one without the other. They come hand in hand. So, I came in here, the good thing about when I was going in and out, when I was relapsing, is that I kept coming back. I knew that much. I knew that this program worked, because I seen it working for other people. See, y'all was here the first time I came, when I was introduced to the program in the late 80s, y'all was here, and I went out and did some more research, and I came back, and the same people, a lot of the same people that was here then, y'all was still here, and y'all told me, y'all said, Robert, this is going to be your last time using. Just for the day, you never have to use again. I didn't believe it. I went out there and did some more research. I came back again. Y'all told me, Robert, welcome back. Just for the day. You never have to use it again. This will be your last time using. So I say that to say that there was some people that was here when I got here, in the late 80s, when I was first introduced to the program. They're still here today. They're still here today. So I knew the program worked. It just wasn't working for me. Guess why it wasn't working for me? Because I wasn't working it. See, I'm my worst enemy. I'm my worst enemy. I was in my way. If I can get out of the way and allow my higher power to work in my life will be great. But still today, in certain areas of my life, on any given day, I struggle with getting out of the way. Still today, with 21 years clean. Why? Because I want to run the show. You know, I still want to run the show. So I'm skipping around a lot. You know, man, what I've learned in this process is this is a awesome program. And it's a program. It's not necessarily for people that need it. It's for the ones that want it. You know, because I had to get here, and I had to get here, and then I had to learn how to stay here. You know, I remember early on, I remember one of my treatment, one of the counselors at the treatment facility would say that, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to it's one thing to get here, but it's a whole nother thing to stay here. You have to deal with some shit around here to stay around here. And see, I'm one of those that want to feel good all the time. I don't want to experience no bad feelings. I don't want to feel loneliness. I don't want to, I don't want to feel sadness. I want to feel good all the time. And what I learned about that is I am emotionally, at the time I started using, and I started using when I was about 14 years old, I started using. So what I found out is I stopped growing emotionally at the age that I started using, when I started using. So I came in here and I was a big kid, a grown, physically grown man, and a kid, but emotionally I was a little bit, I was a kid. So today I'm learning how I'm growing up. I'm learning how to go through whatever emotion that I'm experiencing at the time. I'm learning how to just experience it, just let it be. Because the one thing that I'm learning today is that whatever it is that I'm going to, it will pass. It will pass, and then I'll be going through something else. You know what I'm saying? But none of this happened for me, and our literature says that it doesn't. Everybody is different for each individual. Everybody doesn't have to go to the down to the same level that I went to, the same bottom that I went to. it talks about, no, I forgot my train of thought. I just got my thought that quick. But the one thing that I know today is desperation. Desperation is what got me here, and a lot of times, you know, and now that I'll put the drugs down, my disease shows up in other areas of my life. Because, you know, it just changed faces. Because just because I'm not using any dope today doesn't mean that, you know, my disease hasn't written over it. And I'm not one of those that say my disease is outside doing push-ups and all that. I'm not one of those to say that. My disease is right here in my thinking. It is right here with me 24 hours. You know. And it changed faces. You know. So it, you know, it goes to other areas of my life. So in different areas of my life, you know, there's stuff that I'm just not ready to get rid of yet. And a lot of times it's not until I get to a point of desperation that I'm willing to allow God, because I can't remove none of this stuff. I can't remove no character defects. I can't remove anything. If I could do it myself, I would have done it way before now. You know. But so it takes a loving God to remove my character defect. And until I get to a point to where the pain outweighs the pleasure, a lot of times for me, you know, I'm just not, I'm not willing to allow God to do it, because I still think I have some control. I'm still trying to control something. So, you know, this has been a journey. It has truly been a journey for me. And the thing is that, you know, life shows up. And it shows up, you know, a lot of times in ways that I'm just, you know, I have to pray for the willingness to move on sometimes. But I'm learning to do that. So one of the so I came in 96. I was diagnosed with HIV positive, and this was during the time when I was going in and out of the room. But thank God for the support support that he had, that he had put in my life at the time. You know. And and the thing that I know today is that if I had continued using, and believe me, I didn't at the time when I got that diagnosis, I didn't get clean at that time, right at that time. It was years later before I got clean, you know, because I didn't get clean until this time around, until 90 to 98. But, you know, that was definitely an awakening, you know, for me. And it allowed me, it allowed me to see that there was a plan for my life. God had a plan for my life. Because there was people, you know, that was dying, and I was still here. So you know, so it really helped me. It really helped me, and today I understand that what my purpose is, and my purpose is to be of service. I understand that today clear. So one of the things that I do is I give back in the HIV/AIDS community. I give back in whatever way that I can give back as far as being a service, because service is definitely what keeps me, what helps me, keeps me around. You know, it's one of those things that have definitely kept me coming back here, and that's, you know, that's my purpose today. That's my purpose today. Mm-hmm. So. So if you know, man, this thing is really awesome. It's an awesome program. It's a program that have worked miracles in my life. So, I mean, worked miracles. You know, my life today is totally different than it was, you know, few, you know, some years ago. And that's not to say that I don't struggle, because I do. You know, I have struggles. I'm definitely not one to get it right every time. You know, but the good news is that this program has given me some tools to use. So I have tools that when the pain outweighs the pleasure, you know, when it's you know, hey, I can put these tools to work. You know, at any given time, I can put these tools to work. You know, I can dip into my toolbox. You know, I do service. I early on in this process, my sponsor got me into service, and I'm still doing service today. And I mentioned before that, you know, for me it's service. That's just, you know, that's what I do. You know, because it helps me to stay out of myself. You know, the literature talks about the core of the disease of addiction is selfishness and self-centeredness. Total self-centeredness. And when I'm caught up in self, that's what I'm, you know, it's all about, you know, me, my self-centeredness. You know, it's all about what I can get out of, what I can get out of you, what I can get out of this situation, what I can get out of this play, what I can get out of whatever. Me. But you know, when I'm doing service, it allows me to get outside of myself, give to someone else, and when I finish, you know, once I'm finished with that, I feel so much better. You know, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what the situation is, once I'll finish working with sponsors, once I'll finish doing whatever it is I'm doing, you know, it's I always feel so much better. So, newcomer, you know, service is important around here. If you're not doing something of service, doing it of service, you might want to do that. And service is not always about, you know, about a commitment. How much time?
You good? You got about 5 minutes.
Okay. Service is not always about holding an office or a commitment. You know, service is something simple as stacking chairs, or you know, being the official hugger, sit at the door and hug, you know, people as they come in, or just, you know, just something as simple as that really helps. And it keeps us coming back. It keeps us coming back. So anyway, I'm just kind of summing it up. Today, if I had came into this program and you asked me what did I want at the time when I first came in here, it would have been not to feel the obsession when you know when I want some, you know, want some more dope and don't have any money. I'm out of ways and means to get more. That would have been the thing about that. I just want this monkey off my back. That was what I would have said that I wanted at that time. This program has given me that and much more. And it on the offer, you know, I love to say it on the offer, one thing, and that on the offer one thing, one promise. And that's the promise, that's freedom from active addiction. And this program has given me that and so much more. So, if you're new, Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break, you know. We do this thing 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. You know, we don't, you know. But what happens is minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, and days turn into years. You know, who would have ever thought an addict like me would be sitting here with 21 years clean? And I was an addict that couldn't put together 30 days. I could not put together 30 days in a row. So I say that if it could happen for me, it would happen for you too. If I can do it, you can do it too. Just, you know, our literacy say any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way. You know, and everybody in here is, you know, that applies to every person in here. Every person in here. Any addict. So, I'm about to turn. You know, if you didn't get anything from anything that I shared tonight, that's okay. Just keep coming back. Whatever you do, don't try to figure this thing out overnight. And don't do no dope. But even if you do some dope, keep coming back. Just keep coming back. You know, our hope is that you come back clean, but even if you don't come back clean, keep coming back. Thank you for allowing me to share, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Robert. And
Robert.
our next speaker is JD.
Hey everybody, I'm JD, I'm an addict.
Hey, JD.
Grateful to be clean, very serene.
JD.
And that's because of my high power in this program. And thank Robert and thank my man right here for doing service work. And thank y'all on Saturday night. I'd rather be at the damn comedy show. We can hear about this. So it's showing a lot of willingness, you know, for your own personal recovery. It really is. When I came into the rooms of Narcotics, I got this thing called a damn sponsor. He said, when they ask you to do service work, just say yes and figure it out later. I had no idea how I was going to be sitting here on a Saturday night in Norcross talking about some stuff. But I said yes, and it all worked out. It all just fell in place. A wonderful speaker meeting, you know. I've been supporting Gretna for 22 years in a row. That sponsor that I had, he goes everywhere. And I follow him wherever he went. And now I have sponsees and people in my network that come to Gretna. And I'm just so honored, you know. I'm cool with the guys on the committee. And it just fell in place. And then, you know, my topic in life is that, you know, the gift of desperation is why I'm still here doing what I do. I signed up for the deluxe class. 1997, I came in, and I went to Father Martin's. That was for heroin addicts in Baltimore, Maryland. And he said, how much clean time you got? When I was filling out the paperwork, where I threw up all over everything and said, none. And that place was not for me because it was for people who had not yet become animalistic. It was for lawyers, doctors, professors, that still, you know, just have some issues with too much alcohol and a couple of pills. I had become totally animalistic. I had lost everything humanly possible that somebody in a like position could lose. I had accomplished a lot in my life, but the main thing was getting one more. And ultimately it caught up with me. You know, I was the first African-American partner at this law firm on Madison Avenue. That used to be a big deal, first son, so back then. And gone. They were like, no more flu days, Mr. Davis. Because I was out with the flu all the time. I married my college sweetheart. Oh my God, I love that woman, but I love that dope more. I left her, and we had a lot of kids. I left all of their asses homeless. Not because I wanted to, I just could not stop. My father was a civil rights leader in New York. We lived in Harlem. He was mortified. He was like, what was that lady, Betty Ford? Just say no, dude. What's wrong with you? I couldn't just say no. I was raised by my grandmother, a loving, praying grandmama. I stole everything that wasn't nailed down. And she used to say, JD, what's wrong with you? You got everything. You out there with them people? Because it was them people in Harlem back then. The people that were productive members of society, and then them restaurants that would steal everything and help you look for it. Well, I had become one of those people. And she couldn't understand it. But she never gave up on me. My mother never gave up on me. My father never gave up on me. And that's why I don't give up on anybody in recovery. The kids gave up, though. They still mad, goddamn. They're still mad. He knows. And I thought I was going to die an active addict on the streets because it was 120 degrees. I was on 119th Street with a hoodie on, hoping nobody recognized me. I was an attorney for gangster rappers, and the money was falling from the sky, and it still wasn't enough to keep my habit satisfied. They were all in the studio till 2, 3 in the morning, and I was strolling the streets 4, 5, 6, 7 online trying to get a bundle on credit. And that wife, she was a teacher. And we had pagers. And I got a 609 something. 609 was Jersey. I was like, oh shit, she found me. But it was her insurance company saying, Mr. Davis, you still married. You can go to treatment. We'll pay for it. I was so exhausted. You talking about the walking in Gucci loafers with nowhere to go. That was not a good look for anybody. 3X clothes, and I was down to a medium. It was a bad look. I had a mushroom that had grown. It was just ugly. And I said, I'll try it. And it didn't work out that first treatment center, but they said, we got a place in Atlanta, Georgia, Mar. I said, the hell with Mar, Jermaine Dupri's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to hang out with the hip hoppers. I finally got to Mar, and they said, you got to get a sponsor. My sponsor pulled up for an alumni meeting. He said, hey, I've been waiting for you. And they did that back then. They tell you who the hell was going to be your sponsor. And he loved on me the first moment he met me, and I've been following his suggestions ever since. He says, the gift of desperation is why you're so willing. I was beyond desperate. I was unemployable. You know how you get a halfway house job? I had stayed up all night. I couldn't get to the damn job. I was so tired in the morning. Then he wanted to tell you when to smoke cigarettes. I never heard of that. I had to chain smoke. How the hell I'm going to be painting the damn fence and I couldn't smoke a cigarette? So they kept sending me home. Mr. Davis, come to the office, please. I'm like, oh, Lord. It was real bad. I would ask the roommates, could you give me a ride to the MARTA station? And I said, I know it's real early in the morning. We don't mind, JD, because you're going to get fired by the end of the week anyway. And they were right. The damn treatment center I went to, your family was supposed to send you money for groceries. They didn't want to know where the hell I was, let alone send some money. So I would steal the groceries out the refrigerator. I was always on Buddy and blah, blah, blah. But it was better than that desperation out there on the streets, man. And I came into rooms and they were real tough. They were real tough. Shut up, sit up, up. Remember they talked to us? They ate the cotton out of somewhere and put it somewhere else. I was like, what the hell? And I was so desperate. I like to eat. I like to smoke cigarettes back then. And it was a choice between that, because, we had coffee and cupcakes and shit at the meeting, versus nothing on the streets. I've never been no tough gangster kind of guy. Y'all can see that. I ain't never been no thug. So it was like either hang out with y'all nice people up there at Ebony and Ivory, 81, 11, I didn't give a damn what clubhouse it was. I was there. I got clean on the north side of town. I got clean at Leroy Daniels on the east side of town. And they said, JD, we want you to go to NA because you did all them damn dope. You can go to any clubhouse except the Highland Club. I've been at the Highland Club for 22 years. I'm now I'm the vice president of the Highland Club. My sponsees come to the Highland Club. My home group is at the Highland Club. So, you know, that little riff we have, we've been going through this for 20 years. We go through things and we have fun with it, you know, because I was so desperate. Oh my God. I was so desperate. And when I came in the room, they were all heroin addicts with big hands from Vietnam. I was like, you want to be around? Yes. Please let me get on the back of the tram truck to go to the meeting and hear the vets share their experience, strength, and hope. Because I was so desperate. People were getting killed. Like Robert was saying, when I came up, man, them people was dead. They had the package. They was dropping dead in the dope house. And I was so petrified of trying to touch me. I was like, oh, Lord. Because we didn't know it was a disease. We thought it was the plague. I know the young people can't understand that, but it was a desperate time. They were dropping dead in the streets and people weren't even burying them as a result of the direct result of the addiction. So man, when I got in this safe little place, I was in Dunwoody, boy, I thought I was doing it. About 8 people to a room, I didn't give a damn. And you know, the sponsor, man, he kept talking about the freedom is in the steps. The freedom is in the steps. I said, well, it's not going to work for me because the spiritual principle was honesty behind step 1. I was a kleptomaniac, a chronic liar, a thief, you name it. And that was before the dope. So I knew I was doomed in this program. He said, just try it. Just try it. Try to be a little honest with me. And I tried it, and I got so much relief. And then he started talking about unmanageability. I didn't even have an address. You couldn't get much more unmanageable than that shit. So I was like, well, maybe I'll try to stay here for 2 years like Donnie Brown at Mar wanted me to do. Go to the lake and share my feelings. Can you imagine coming from Harlem? We never sit around and eat marshmallows and talk about our feelings. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. And then he taught me about powerlessness. Well, you know, I thought I was pretty powerful. I could make some shit happen. I went to school to learn how to manipulate, fix, manage, and control. And y'all said that was not a good thing. So I was so desperate that I really was so damn desperate I tried to stop controlling. I'm still working on that. That's my biggest issue. I'm a certified control freak around people who don't work on theirs. But it was beautiful to get through that step 1. Finally, I got just a little relief. That's why I tell my sponsors, no matter how far down you don't come, we could do step 1. You could feel just a little better about yourself. And then step 2, that was a piece of cake. I wanted to tell y'all how insane I was. Jewel wanted to talk about restoration. What the fuck? I want to tell y'all about where the bodies were buried. He said, you're going to go back to desperation if you don't follow my suggestions. They were damn well commands back then. They're not as nice as that. And he said, you need to talk about your higher power. Who is it? Is it Superfly? Really? And I said, damn, man, it really ain't Superfly. And I got better with step 2 because I got an understanding of my own higher power. And I got some forgiveness from my grandmama's God, you know, because I stole everything and I was so guilty, shamed, walked down with my head down. So I moved on to step 3 and I was like, I didn't come here for this. I know I was desperate and shit. But turning my will over to y'all kooky motherfuckers, you must be out of your mind. Because NA was challenging back then. Like, I robbed the bank, I murdered 3 people, but I stayed clean today. I was like, oh. I don't know if I want to turn my will of my life over to all of that. And again, I was at the Highland Club, so you know, at the crime scene. And he said, calm down. It's just making a decision to move on with those steps. Remember the freedom you got from 1 and 2, you'll get more with 4 and 5. I said 4 is no problem at all. I ain't mad at nobody. 10 days later, there were like 5, 6 pages of people. That teacher in 5th grade who called me fat, you know, I was mad at everybody, especially my mom and my daddy, because they sent me from Jersey over to live with that old lady. old lady was out of touch. She loved me a lot, but she was totally out of touch. She sent me every day to school with Bubbo sneakers on and clothes from the thrift shop, and to go to school with the lions and the tigers and bears. I had to fight all the way to school and in school and on the way home from school. That's before the dope life was dark. So I got through that fourth step, and then he said, look at your part in all this shit. And that's when my life changed, you know? Because I had a part in all of it. Had a part in the 6 baby mamas. I didn't tell y'all that part yet. 6 baby mamas. It was 7 kids. They were homeless, and man, they all had natural hair. Natural hair wasn't happening at that time. They wanted some money, and I had no more money. And he said, well, let's just do the 5th step. Since you say you're so damn desperate, you're willing to go. And I told him some stuff I said I was going to take to my grave. Like how I stole the check out my grandmother's checkbook on her deathbed. And when they went to bury her, there was no money to bury her. I told him shit like that I thought I would never say. And I heard at the meeting that, you know, you tell your sponsor crazy shit. Oh, don't worry, I've done worse. Not my sponsor. He said, ooh, Lord, something wrong with you. You need to sit in the front row until I tell you to stop. And that was 22 years ago. I'm still trying to sit in the front row because I was totally insane. And that was just a little inch of how crazy things were. And I kept remembering the desperation. So this ain't getting no better because my lifestyle was kook-a-look. I already met this beautiful woman in detox at Charter Peachford. She smiled at me, and I said, love at first sight. Seemed right to me. She let me borrow a Newport. 6 months later, we were pregnant, and I was the only one happy. She was ready to cut her throat. Her parents were mad. My parents were like, what the hell? Ain't you in treatment? I was like, yes, and we're having a boy. I hope it's a boy. This nigga needs some other kind of help. But we had the baby. I stayed clean through that. My sponsor didn't leave me. He supported me through. He said, now you gotta really buckle down. What separates the kook-a-looks, the men from the boys, was step 6 and 7. And I love what Robert said. I couldn't get rid of none of them defects of character, no matter how desperate I was. But they told me if I turned it over to that person, that thing in step 3, so I had about 4,860 million defects of character. He took around 6 of them away. So I was like, yes! At least I'm not stealing from the basket at the meetings anymore. That's a big deal. I didn't impregnate any more women. You know, I was trying to be loyal. I was in touch with all them other children. And I got a job. And I kept the job. Life got better. My mother died. I could go to the funeral because I had made amends to her too, you know. Held my head up high. All those people reminded me how desperate I was. You ever get a backhand insult? Hey, JD, damn, you look good. In other words, the last time we saw you, you looked like you were about to die. I held my head up through that, and I pushed on through step 8. You know, you make that list. And it brought back all that desperation. All the people I had robbed, all the people I didn't physically rob, but I was a con artist, you know? My grandmama died of millions of times. I just needed some money, you know, to get to the funeral. So 8th and 9th step was traumatic for me. Made amends to my kids. They have still, most of them have not accepted it. They want me to parent out of guilt, but y'all told me don't do that either. Don't parent out of guilt. No is no, yes is yes. You're not their friend. You're their father. Act like it. And I did that. Life got really good. Jewel and I worked on 10, 11, 12. And I started doing service work, like Robert was talking about. They smoked cigarettes. I did too, so I was cleaning up the ashtrays. All of that stuff. Worked with Gretna, worked on Magna. That was the Midtown area. Worked in Weena. GSR at the home group. Y'all know, that kind of stuff. I was feeling really good about myself. And when I got divorced, the wife sent the middle boy here from North New Jersey. Y'all know North New Jersey? That boy was a thug getting off the train. But I could fix him because I was clean now. And I put him in Grace Recovery over there in that little nice neighborhood by Perimeter Mall. He went in the front door, robbed everybody at the halfway house, and went out the back door. And I chased behind him. He's got to go to the heavy hitters. They can fix him. There's a bunch of guys over there. Got to take